Barbie dolls, symbols of childhood innocence, creativity, and imagination. I had never thought much about them beyond their glossy hair and fashionable outfits, but what started as a simple fascination with a childhood toy would lead me into a chilling true horror story that forever altered my perception of those iconic dolls. It all began when I stumbled upon an old box of toys in the attic of my grandparents' house. Among the forgotten treasures was a collection of vintage Barbie dolls. Their plastic bodies a little faded, their clothing slightly worn, but their allure still intact. I was instantly captivated, the nostalgia of my childhood flooding back as I held the dolls in my hands. As the sun set outside, casting long shadows through the attic windows, I arranged the dolls on a makeshift display. Their eyes seemed to follow me, their painted smiles frozen in place. My fingers traced the intricate details of their clothing, the delicate features that had once captured my imagination. That night, I lay in bed, the image of the dolls etched into my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to them than met the eye, a sense that they held a secret beneath their perfect exteriors. Sleep eluded me, my thoughts consumed by the dolls and their enigmatic presence. In the days that followed, I found myself drawn to the dolls, arranging them in different poses, studying their features, and marveling at the craftsmanship that had gone into creating them. But as the dolls became a constant presence in my thoughts, a series of unsettling events began to unfold. It started with small things, objects moving on their own, faint whispers in the silence of the night, and a growing feeling of being watched. I brushed off the unease, attributing the occurrences to my overactive imagination. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more at play. One evening, as I stood in front of the display, arranging the dolls in a new formation, I noticed something odd. One of the dolls had shifted position. I stared at it, my heart racing, as I realized that its arms were no longer by its side. Instead, they were raised, as if it was in the middle of a dance. I blinked, thinking that I must have moved it inadvertently. But then, as I watched, the doll's head turned ever so slightly, its eyes seemingly fixing on me. A chill ran down my spine, a feeling that the dolls were not mere playthings, that there was something alive within them. I reached out, my fingers trembling, and gently turned the doll's head back to its original position. As I did, I felt a surge of unease, as if I was disturbing something that should have been left alone. The feeling lingered long after I left the attic, the weight of those plastic eyes following me even in my dreams. The following nights were marked by a series of disturbing dreams in which the dolls came to life, their features contorting into sinister expressions, their laughter a hollow echo that seemed to fill the air. I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart pounding, the line between reality and nightmare blurring. Desperate for answers, I turned to research, scouring the internet for any information about haunted dolls or mysterious occurrences related to Barbie dolls. What I discovered sent a shiver down my spine. Accounts of people claiming to have experienced strange phenomena connected to vintage Barbie dolls. One story stood out, a tale of a collector who had acquired a rare and valuable Barbie doll from an estate sale. The doll was said to have a haunting beauty, its presence captivating but unsettling. The collector reported hearing faint whispers, feeling a chilling presence, and even witnessing the doll's head turning on its own. The similarities between the collector's experience and my own were too uncanny to ignore. As I delved deeper into the lore surrounding haunted dolls, I realized that there was a history of dolls being vessels for spirits or entities seeking a connection to the living world. With a mixture of trepidation and determination, I decided to confront the dolls. Armed with sage and incense, I returned to the attic, determined to cleanse the space of any lingering negative energy. As I performed the ritual, I couldn't shake the feeling that the dolls were watching me, their eyes piercing through the veil of the mundane. But just as I thought the ritual had succeeded, a sudden gust of wind blew through the attic, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. I stumbled back, my heart racing, the feeling of being surrounded by an unseen presence overwhelming. And then, in the shadows, I saw movement. The dolls, their plastic bodies swaying as if caught in a dance. My breath caught in my throat as I watched, a mixture of awe and terror washing over me. It was as if they were responding to the energy in the room, their movements a manifestation of the forces that had taken hold of them. As quickly as it had begun, the movement ceased, and the attic was enveloped in silence once again. I stood there, my heart pounding, the weight of the experience settling in. The dolls, once symbols of innocence, had become conduits for something beyond my comprehension, something that defied explanation. In the days that followed, I made the decision to remove the dolls from the attic, unable to shake the feeling that their presence was a source of unease and disturbance. But as I held them in my hands, I felt a mixture of sadness and resignation. The dolls had become a part of something larger, a haunting beauty that transcended the boundaries of the physical world. I couldn't bring myself to destroy them, to erase the memories of my childhood or the enigmatic experiences they had brought into my life. Instead, I decided to lock them away, keeping them hidden from the world, a secret that only I would hold. As time passed, the memories of the haunted Barbie dolls faded into the background of my life. But every so often, as I walked past the locked door of the attic, I couldn't help but wonder about the true nature of those dolls, the haunting beauty that had forever altered my perception of the innocence they once represented. Years later, as I shared my story with a friend who was fascinated by the supernatural, they suggested that I should revisit the dolls, that perhaps the passage of time had allowed the negative energy to dissipate. With a mixture of trepidation and curiosity, I made my way back to the attic. As I unlocked the door and entered the dusty space, I felt a strange mixture of familiarity and apprehension. The dolls were still there, resting in their box, their plastic eyes seemingly gazing into the beyond. I hesitated for a moment before carefully opening the box and gazing at them. For a long moment, nothing happened. The dolls remained still, their expressions frozen in time. And then, as if responding to my presence, a faint whisper filled the air, a whisper that seemed to carry an otherworldly message. It was a message of longing, of a connection between two worlds, of a beauty that was both haunting and enigmatic. As the whisper faded, I closed the box once again, the weight of the experience settling in. The dolls were not just toys, they were vessels of something beyond understanding, carriers of a haunting beauty that defied explanation. And as I left the attic behind, I couldn't shake the feeling that the story of the haunted Barbie dolls was far from over, a tale that would forever remain a haunting enigma, hidden within the shadows of memory and imagination.